grateful man of recovery, and a child of God today. You know, I can sit up here and tell you, like, I get the whole mic, but, yeah, like I say, all my experience, Strength and Hope now I talk about is, you know, the experience that I found, you know, yeah, I spent 30 years of my life in the streets, in jails, institutions, death, whatever, and the last thing that happened was, you know, I never wanted to even get sober at all. Like, it was the courts, it was my family, it was if I could have a place to sleep if I got sober, you know. I never wanted it because from an early age, I hated myself, or I was nothing good about me. You know, when you have a family that outs you when you have 5 brothers, but you're always in a mental institution, you're always shipped off to a, you know, you start to think like, I couldn't trust my own family, so I had no trust in men, you know, being physically, mentally, sexually, for years of my life, and then shipped off into a place, and then, you know, I come back and I didn't have no trust in nothing. And for there to be something above, that's not happening for me. But, you know, there was somebody else, like you said, like, you know, somebody prayed for me. There was people praying for me. You know what I mean? Because if not, I wouldn't be here, you know. So my aunt always sent me CDs with Jason Crabb on them and all these things, and Crowder and all these things I would listen to. And I just like the beat of the song. Like I said, I didn't even know there was gospel music or nothing. So, but, you know, as I got older, I mean, about 5 years ago, I finally realized I wanted to do something better. I had plans on being dead by 30, it didn't work out that way. So somebody told me God had other plans, you know. And for the first time, I remember sitting there and I hit my knees for the first time and I cried out for the first time, ugly, crying, snot. And then I went to treatment and I met a lady named Charlene, and she was my counselor, and she says, you know, in 2018, you know, my wife passed away for 20 years, my dad passed away 10 days later, you know, and so right then and there was only 2 people I thought that had my back. But then meeting her and then finding out that when you finally hit your knees and you turn your will and life over to God, God's gonna take things out of your life, whether you like it or not. And if it's hindering your walk with Him, I got a jealous God, and He was like, you know, if you're gonna worship them too, they got to go too. So, and I mean, it's morbid, they say, but you know what? It's the best thing that's ever happened to me after I had to deal with all of it. But, you know, and then when I got, finally got sober, and then I met my wife now, then she's my girlfriend, she brought me here. I overdosed, I came home, and I went into an Oxford house, and she said, we can take you over here to this place. And I come in, and she introduced me to James and Zach. I'm like, hey, he's a wordsmith. I'm like, man, this guy is weird. You're not gonna be talk to these people. And today, I thank God for that moment, because, you know, from that moment when I came into the Strength Recovery that day, and they brought me a journey that Sunday, and, you know, Zach became a very pivotal part of my life. And James, like, Zach, they talked the language of God that I understood. Like, that God could forgive them, so why couldn't He forgive me? The big thing that Zach ever told me, he said, sit down, write a paragraph, fire your father. I fired my father. I knew that my real father didn't make trash. And from that moment on, I haven't stopped going to, and I moved to Georgetown. I became a home group down there. I stayed in that there. I came back up here because I said I could never get sober up here. Well, why can't I? You know what I mean? And the moment I came in Strength and Recovery, and my wife brought me here, and now it's like, I don't need my everything to God, you know, and through that, my life has become, I mean, they say, I ain't nothing, all the material stuff I got. I just got full custody of my daughter back. I got a wife, I got my oldest daughters, I get my grandkids on the weekends. I mean, I finally have given myself to God, and I mean, things are not perfect, but like, you know, they're saying, like, I turned my will and life over to God, and He said, you want this? So now He's teaching me patience, and teaching me tolerance with a kid, a 9-year-old girl, and I mean, swear, like Sue said, when you be careful what you pray for, because like, it's a curse and a blessing at the same time, because everything came at once. But my life is so amazing now, and I mean, I go on forever about, just what he's given me in just these few short years, but, that's why, thank you so much.